Welcome to another Soccer Down Here 1v1. Time to catch up with South Georgia Tormenta FC2's new head coach, Tom Morris. Tom, first off, congratulations. Thanks for hanging out with us for a 1v1.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
All right, so this is when a new coach gets a new job, I always like to ask this question. How did you find out? So how did you find out?
To be honest, it's been an ongoing process. So I've worked at Tormenta before in the past. Back in 2019, I was the assistant coach with Ian, who's now the USL 1 head coach. We worked together in the USL 2 team. So once he kind of found out that he was becoming the USL 1 head coach, he called me and said, look, I've got this opportunity. I've worked with you before, enjoyed working with you in the past, would love to bring you into Tormenta. And then the conversation started, and then it was a process of going through interviews and reconnecting with the owners and chatting to those guys and going from there. But obviously, once I got that call from Darren Fantassel and Ian Cameron about the opportunity, I was over the moon, because since I was involved in this club back in 2019, it was always a place I wanted to come back to. Seeing the chance to work in a professional environment in such a well put together club that's so involved in the community, it was like, okay, I've received that phone call. Now let's do everything possibly can to make this happen. So I was really, really excited about it.
And at the same time, Tormenta is one of those atmospheres and environments that, while you're building a club from academy ages in the U9, 10, 11, 12, and going forward, it's also a family atmosphere when it comes to Tormenta FC, Tormenta FC2. What was it like for you initially to step into this family environment, knowing all of the different pieces that are here for Tormenta?
It was amazing, honestly. To be honest, being part of a family group is something that I've always been a big fan of as a coach, and something that I've seen had great success through my experiences coaching back in England and also coaching in college. So actually coming into that really close-knit family environment, it was just second nature to me. So I think why the club decided to bring me in, because it was a good fit for me. But you are right. Tormenta is a very unique club that is a very close-knit club. I've worked or known people who've worked in big professional clubs, MLS teams, professional clubs back in the UK, and they're just much bigger. So there's less connect between the individuals within the group. Whereas at Tormenta, everyone knows everyone, and that's one of the best things about it. The owners know the players very well. They know the coaching staff very well. The players and the staff are very close-knit within the academy, within USL 2, within USL 1. And that's what makes Tormenta so special. And that's kind of what I'm really excited about being part of this club is not just enjoying the current family atmosphere that's there, but helping it grow more as well, and bringing the community in even more, because we'd like to keep connecting with our community here in Statesboro as much as possible, get more fans into our games, get more young soccer players into our academy. That's kind of what we're looking to do over the next few years.
All right. So now that you've brought that up, I know that every coach has, every front office member has that dry erase board, or, they've got, notes on a phone that they always file away with the pen. It could be the dry erase board there in the office off of one of the walls. It could be a short dry erase board with a grease pen that's on the.
Yeah, we've got them all. Yeah.
What's on that list to accomplish those goals that you have set out for being with your time with Tormenta?
Yeah, I think just to start that, our goals, let's talk about our goals in general. So my role as the USL 2 head coach obviously sits right between USL Academy and USL 1. And what we are trying to implement through the club, and it's been ongoing now for 2-3 years, is having real continuity between the academy, producing players from our academy system who either can step straight into our USL 1 or USL 2 team, so players such as Tristan Deloach, who's a young lad and only just finished high school and is now already playing on the USL 1 team. Players like that who can become professionals straight out of the academy, or go on to have very good college careers before maybe revisiting our pro system after college. And then the USL 2 team, which I'm heading up, is about finding the best players we can within college soccer around the country who have the profile to eventually step into our USL 1 team. So the cool thing is, in our staff is myself, the head coach, Ian Cameron, Nick Garamillo, and also Jordan Melia and Jorge Gonzalez. We all work very closely within the academy, within USL 2 and USL 1. So there's that continuity throughout. So whatever we're doing in our USL 1 team, we're trying to implement the same ideas, the same philosophies in USL2 and within the academy, because we know if they can do it at USL2 for our team, they have the mentality and the ability to do it for our USL1 team. So what that looks like for us is we want to be a really high energy team, really competitive. Every training session, every game, we want fans to watch our games and walk away going, wow, that was 1,000 miles an hour, but in a controlled way. They want to come away not just kind of being sat there bored to death because we're keeping the ball, but high energy, being really powerful in transition, pressing from the front, playing an attractive football. We're looking after the ball and playing forward quickly, but it's got to be high energy. It's got to be exciting. It's got to be exciting for the players to play, and it's got to be exciting for the fans to watch. And that's something that we hope you're going to see right through the club, from USL1 right down to the academy.
It sounds almost Bielsa-esque when you're discussing high energy and high tempo here.
Yeah, if we can get to that level of high energy, that's going to be unbelievable. I don't think quite that frantic. Tactically, it'll be slightly different to that. But but the core philosophy of that energy and that enthusiasm and that passion every time we step on the field will be something we hope to see throughout the club.
When you see a player, whether it's at the USL League Two level or the USL A level, understand the philosophy that's being brought down from League One and goes through those stair steps. What's it like to see those athletes get it when the light comes on, when they understand what you're trying to do philosophically out there on the pitch? What's that moment like to see that athlete continue to grow?
Well, honestly, it's not normally a moment. It's normally a process, right? It's very rare that you suddenly see, okay, all the things we've talked about for the last 6 months or year, he's now got it. But what it is, it's the end of that period of time, a year, a season, 2 seasons, where you look back and you see where he was and where he is now. And then they come and talk to you and they look back and say, I remember when we talked about this, I remember we worked on this. Now it makes sense to me. Because it's very difficult in any sport for guys to suddenly have that light bulb moment. But that's why every day, the training environment we're trying to create is going to allow those guys to have learning opportunities day in, day out. So we'll put them through, we'll try and teach the same thing in different ways as much as possible, create game-like situations in training as much as possible. So rather than us just sitting there telling them how to do it or showing them how to do it, they're experiencing it regularly so that over time, they without even realizing it, maybe they've picked up something that we talked about 6 months to a year ago.
In your past, you've coached at the NCAA Division II level. You know what soccer means in the Carolinas with your time at Limestone in the Carolinas Conference. What's it been like for you to see the sport grow here in the Southeast, I guess, first at Limestone and then coming into the Tormenta environment in a very atypical soccer market for those not aware of Statesboro, Georgia, Bullock County, Jenkins County, that section of Eastern Georgia that's turning into this soccer hotbed? What's that been like?
It's been awesome. And like you said, I originally came to the US in South Carolina in 2007. So soccer, the MLS has changed dramatically, the exposure on TV, the Premier League's on TV all the time now, the MLS is regularly on TV. When I first came over, there was one channel where you could watch professional football. You had to pay a lot of money for it, and it was on a Saturday morning. And I think there's one guy in my dorms at college who had that channel, and we'd all crowd in there on a Saturday morning. Obviously now, soccer's everywhere. And it's brilliant to see little clubs like Tormenta now, the USL1 league starting, adding 2 more teams in the next couple of years as well. It's growing and growing and growing. The interesting thing is youth soccer has always been huge in America for a long time, long before I got here. But it's great now to see that those young players who've played soccer are now able to watch soccer consistently. Because that was the biggest thing that I think I realized when I first came to America is in Europe, you grow up obsessed with soccer. It's everywhere. It's on TV. You're watching games all the time. When I first came to the US, a lot of the American lads I played with, they enjoyed playing soccer, but they didn't see it. They didn't love it like we did because it wasn't around everywhere. Now you're meeting kids in the academy and soccer's their life. They're obsessed. They know more of the players than I do in a professional game because they're playing FIFA, they're watching football all the time. So it's great to see that enthusiasm. And then even in a small town like Statesboro, seeing that enthusiasm now of people being connected to our club and coming out to watch our games is really cool, and it's continuing to grow, hopefully.
And we got into the family environment just a little bit, and I know that Nitra is like having a team mom. She's like the den mother. when it comes to some of the rules and the guidelines for interpersonal communication and getting to know your teammates and getting to know everyone, one of the rules that has always stuck with me is that when the team has team dinner, the cell phone goes into a basket outside the room and you go into the room to have a meal. And I think that while it sounds like a little thing, I think that it's a big thing because you get to learn about those around you, not just when it comes to them as soccer players, but as people. And I think that we talked about that unique environment. I think that that's kind of a part and parcel to that. When you saw that for the first time, what was your initial reaction?
That was honestly one of the things that drew me to the club. When I first arrived, and I was invited down here to kind of come and watch training for a week and see the environment. I was very privileged to have that. And then I saw little details, and that's not some of the only details that the Van Tassels have incorporated and Nietzsche has incorporated into our team. There's other things that we do as well that are built from that. But it's like you said, we can talk about sport and you can watch TV and you can watch these talking head shows where they talk about tactics and this and that. But ultimately, any sport and soccer in particular, it's about people, right? Is you have the best coach in the world, who's the greatest coach, but if you can't connect with people and the players can't connect together, it doesn't matter how talented they are, because they're not going to work together. We're a team sport where 15 to 18 guys on any given day need to come together and create a result. So to do that, it's all about connecting with people and having those relationships. And we've all seen it, whatever level of sport we've played, the more connected you are off the field, the more likely you are to look after each other and care for each other and do the right things for each other on the field. So that's exactly what Nietzsche has created and the Van Tassels has created at Tormenta, is that environment where, yes, we're here to play football, but understanding that creating great relationships that last beyond, for example, the USL2 season lasts 3 months in the summer. Then those boys go back to their colleges. But the team that Ian and I had in 2019, some of those boys are still best friends to this day. And that's because of what we do off the field. And that's a big part of it. So it's something that I believe in. It's something the club believes in. It's something that we've seen to have great success. And professional sport in general doesn't tend to be like that all the time. It has a reputation of being quite cutthroat, dog eat dog. So we're trying to be a little bit different in that sense as well. We don't want players to go out to training and being like, well, he plays the same position as me. I need to, if he gets injured, I want to be happy about it because that means I play. We want competitiveness, but we want support for each other as well, because we just know in the long run that that's going to be better for everyone.
I know that, as a Reading guy, you're probably looking, as you follow, I guess, what Nigel Atkins and folks like that behind as you're looking at managers, when it comes to your managerial style, I know that you want to have your own, but who are some of those stylistic guys that you look at that are a part of your DNA, that are a part of your booklet? Who are those managers that you've always gravitated toward when it comes to figuring out who you want to be as a manager?
That's a really good question. Something I haven't actually thought about before. It's probably, I think, I like to read a lot. I like to listen to a lot of managers, and not just, and outside of soccer as well. So I think I'm someone who's probably picked up different pieces from a variety of coaches around. Being a massive Manchester United fan, Alex Ferguson, what he did was obviously unbelievable. I think in the modern era, Klopp's ability to connect with players is something I think most coaches probably aspire to have. That ability to motivate players, to connect with them beyond the football level. Obviously, that's something that's huge as well. So I probably wouldn't compare myself to anyone in particular, but I'm definitely someone who probably picks bits and pieces from other coaches as I see fit.
Tom Morris, the new head coach for Tormenta FC2, hanging out with us here for a Soccer Down Here 1v1. And, you mentioned about making sure that it was an exciting brand of football when you bring folks into Irk Russell and then eventually over to the Tormenta's new barn when that's developed and finalized and completed. When it comes to outreach in the community, I know it's difficult to do now considering what we've been in for the past 10 months, but how do you anticipate being a part of the community and having the guys being a part of the community and getting that outreach so folks don't just sit there and say, oh, it's just a Statesboro thing, when in reality, there's that large footprint of Southeast Georgia that you guys are part and parcel to?
Yeah, we have a really awesome front office staff who lead that process of connecting with our community. But something as a coaching staff we've talked about recently to try and improve that is we want to get our players and our coaches in the community as much as possible. It's a privilege to be a professional athlete, right? We don't want to be up here on our high horse looking at a professional athlete and looking down on everyone else. We want our guys to go out and connect with the community, make them realize, our players to realize that they're lucky to have what they have, and they need to share their experiences and their privileges with other younger people or just anyone in the community as well. The cool thing is with our academy being based in Savannah, based in Hardyville, we do have obviously Statesboro as well, we do have quite a good reach within the local area already. We want to keep utilising that, but we have plans hopefully in the next year to regularly get our players to go down to academy training sessions, connect with the parents, connect with the players there, and also in the greater community outside of our club as well. But that's something that as a coaching staff, something we really believe is important in the next year is actually growing our footprint in this community. So people to make the drive to come out and see our games.
How have you grown and matured as a coach from your time in Myrtle Beach in the NPSL to Limestone to here? How have you evolved as a manager?
Definitely calmed my emotions a little bit. I think as a young coach, I'm still a young coach, but I think my first experience as a head coach was at Myrtle Beach, as you mentioned. And all of a sudden, when you're the guy who makes the decisions and you're the guy who has to foot the bill for those decisions, then my emotions certainly took the better of me. So I've definitely over time been able to take a deep breath in those moments, not react as much as possible as quickly as I was then, and try and see the bigger picture. For sure. Obviously, over time, you try to learn from as much as possible from the people around you. I had great mentors at Limestone. Eric Allsop there was a great mentor to me. Ian Cameron, John Migler-Racy here at Tormenta, both been great mentors for me. So I think those are things. Tactically, I've absolutely grown as well. I think my ability to manage tactically a group of players as well. I think as a player, you just play. As soon as you become a coach, you have to start thinking about the bigger picture as well. So I think those are probably the main areas in the last few years that I've been able to improve. But again, I'm certainly someone who thinks you can learn from as many people as possible consistently. So throughout my career, I don't think there's ever a chance to stop learning. I'm learning a hell of a lot already from the Van Tassels in terms of leaders, and also from John Migler-Racy, the previous head coach, and Ian Cameron as well. So yes, I'm a head coach of the second team here, but I'm also consistently learning.
So you've had your Dean Smith, Aston Villa on the touchline moments in the past. You've learned from those?
Yeah, I've never called a ref a clown, but
have you got red?
Not as a coach, thankfully, no. But I've definitely had talking to with referees. Hopefully, I can keep my self-controlled this season.
Head coach, the new head coach for Tormenta FC2, Tom Morris. Tom, as always, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for giving us the chance to give everybody the introduction to you with the new part on the business card, which I know is very, very busy now. Both sides of the business card, I'm sure, now have a lot of titles and a lot of phone numbers. Thanks for hanging out with us for a 1v1. We'll be keeping an eye. We'll catch up with you soon.
My pleasure, John. Take care.